All right. Uh, good, good morning, everyone. All right. Thank you for joining us for another December edition, the grand finale of the 2025 Alternative Learning Summit. My name is Dr. Saritin Agunovai. I'm part of the organizers of this event. So the theme is connecting e-learning to the community, a global vision and local impact. In the past years, across the summit, we've explored learning beyond just the mind. We talked about emotional intelligence, economic empowerment, mentorship, and heart-centered growth. Today, we are bringing it home by way of our trusted idea, not just how it sounds on global stage, but how it feels on the money. It's not just about innovation to dream about, but the trust we build, and we'll be able to do that. So we have another edition where we assemble extraordinary group of professionals, disruptors, and builders who live in this intersection. They're not just about theorizing about change. They are all about creating something that the whole world will want to be part of. Today is mainly just a dialogue. It's a blueprint for section, a guardian of my community, single mission to ensure a global educational strategies, not just to learn in communities, but to be with them. So I want to thank our brilliant second and our dynamic co-moderators who are also going to be part of us today. So we have some speakers. We have our keynote speaker, Lester. We also have Dr. Clara. We have Dr. Anasha. We also have Aiden, and we also have Monique Black. And most importantly, to everyone tuning in, educators, mid-professional, early professionals, entrepreneurs, thank you for your commitment. And we are local. We are trying to make an impact. So let's move on to the business of today. So I'm going to invite our moderator, Amanda Torres, to continue. Welcome.
Hi, good
Amanda,
afternoon.
over
My
to
name
you,
is
Amanda. Are you there?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Amanda Torres. I am your moderator for today's ADollarClass online event, Connecting E-Learning to Communities. And I have the honor of introducing our wonderful educators of today's event, starting with Dr. Anashay Murphy-Wright, who is strategic educator, founder of Disruptive Partners and Consulting. We also have Dr. Dr. Nelson, Claire Nelson, excuse me, futurist, engineer, and founder of Institute of Caribbean Studies. And we also have Lester Washington, our keynote speaker, security and executive and operations leader. We also have the honors of introducing Monique Black, founder of the Time of Month Club and social entrepreneur. Also, last but not least, our last panelist is Mr. Hayden Burnett, student-focused leader and culture builder. And we appreciate you tuning in, and we will now introduce our first speaker, Dr. Lester Washington.
Or afternoon, depending on where in the country you might be today. It's a beautiful day here in the great state of Texas, but it's a privilege and an honor to be here. And Amanda, thank you for that warm invite and introduction. So being here with leaders who care deeply about the future of learning is what I enjoy and look forward to today. But I want to explore a simple but powerful idea. Global knowledge has never been more accessible. I'm sure many of you would agree with me on that. With the advent of social media technology today, it is a point click away from us. We can access it at any time, anywhere, as long as you know how to use it properly. But its impact depends on how well we translate it into local opportunity. E-learning is not just a delivery method. It's a bridge between what the world knows and what our communities need. Next slide. Would you say we are living through the fastest transformation in the history of education? I would surmise that we are. Now, I'm a baby boomer, mind you. Now, back in the day when I was coming up, it was simply books, pen, paper, and that was it. All right. You relied upon your teachers, friends, neighbors, brothers and sisters to help with your education. But today, digital learning has made knowledge borderless. A student in Texas can learn from a professor in Singapore. A teacher in rural Kenya can access the same resources as a teacher in New York. This global shift is reshaping expectations, opportunities, and the very definition of what it means to learn. I have 5 children, and I will say this to you. They are constantly online, and they are looking for and seeking information and knowledge that they sometimes cannot get at home or in school. Now, sometimes to my chagrin, they find stuff that I don't want them to hear or see. But the reality of it is, we are a global network. We are a large community worldwide. And so the shift has to change. It has to be one that is welcoming, opening, and inviting. Next slide. But global access alone isn't enough. There is a gap, a global to local disconnect, if you say. Much of the world's digital content is created far from the communities that use it. Without cultural relevance, learners disengage. Without local context, knowledge doesn't translate into opportunity. The challenge is not just access to content, it's alignment within community needs. I live in the city of Richardson here, and our community is one that is very diverse. And I will say this to you, we have outreach programs, we have accessibility to many networks throughout the community. And many of them are digital based. They're all online, basically. You can go online and register for courses, for events. You can even teach online to others within the community. And so when I say global access, it is truly here to stay, and it's not going away. It is the advent of the future. Next slide. So when I speak of locally, Texas is stepping into this moment with clarity and ambition. Through the expansion of the Texas Virtual School Network and the passage of Senate Bill 569, the state is modernizing how learning is delivered. Texas is showing what it looks like when policy, innovation, and community needs align. This is a model other states are watching closely. And again, I speak from experience. I have children in 5 different schools. Or I should say 4. I have 1 in college, I have 2 in junior high, 1 in elementary school, or 2 in elementary school. And the reality of it is, their resources that are made available to them help me as a parent to better understand their needs when it comes to their education, but more importantly, allows me to partner with the educators, the administrators, and their teachers. I regularly get texts, I get emails, I get information daily from my students, my teachers' students, or I should say my children's teachers, that help me to better understand how I can better support and partner with those educators when my children come home. You know, it's not like the day when I would come home, sit down with a book, read, write, whatever. My children are constantly online, preparing presentations, finishing up their homework, and forwarding on the work that they've done to their teachers via digital means. It's not the old pen and paper anymore as we're accustomed to, or I should say, as I was accustomed to when I grew up. Next slide, please. But real transformation happens when communities are not just recipients of the solutions. They have to be co-creators as well. When we design learning experiences with families, educators, and local leaders, we build programs that reflect real needs, real culture, and real aspirations. Community-centered design is not a luxury, it's the foundation of sustainable impact. And as the slide shows you there, co-creation within communities is important. As I alluded to earlier in my talk, in our community, we are co-collaborators, we are co-creators. We work with the local community ourselves to build programs that we find suitable for our children and for ourselves as well. It's designing with and not for, and the local voices help shape it, which means that more people are more apt to utilize it and seek it out. Next slide, please. Now, digital learning cannot be transformative if access is unequal. And unfortunately, too many learners today still share devices, depending on where you are globally in the world or locally, and what resources are available to your schools and to you personally. Sometimes we lack reliable broadband or don't have the digital literacy skills needed to thrive. In other words, how do you access those resources online? Do you know the link? How to access that link? How to create a link? Equity is not just about technology. It's about dignity. It's about ensuring every learner has the tools to participate fully in the digital world. Next slide, please. Now, the reality of it is, technology is creating innovation very quickly. The workforce is changing faster than traditional education can keep up. Automation and AI are reshaping entire industries, and I'm sure many of you would agree. The skills required for today's jobs are evolving rapidly. E-learning gives us the ability to respond in real time, to upskill workers, to support career transitions, and prepare learners for a future that is already here. I myself am an example of that. Once again, I'm a baby boomer. I worked for a hospitality company for 38 years. When I retired, I transitioned into the private sector, but I had to go through some education and awareness to prepare myself for that transition. And so it's imperative. As the slide indicates there, manufacturing is increasing, but manufacturing jobs are not. Of that. Automation and AI are reshaping those jobs. So we've got to provide the skills that those individuals need. There are skill gaps today. So the learning is needed, and we need to widen it. And e-learning can accelerate that for us. Next slide, please. Now, no single institution can solve the challenges of digital learning alone. It takes, if you will, an ecosystem. That means schools, government, nonprofits, industry, and global partners working together. When we align our strengths, we create solutions that are scalable, more importantly, sustainable, and deeply rooted in community needs. Next slide, please. Now, behind every data point is a human story. A student who gains confidence, a parent who sees new possibilities, a community that feels seen and supported. Now, I have a story that I'd like to share with you. I indicated that I have 5 children. One of my children is autistic. And so the reality of it is, the digital advents that we have today really help and support his needs. Now, he is very technically savvy, but oftentimes gets lost in the sort of minutia. And so with his administrators, his teachers, social workers, we've been able to find technology that can support his needs. More importantly, provide him with the support, the dignity that he needs, because he feels good about what he achieves. He doesn't feel ostracized or set aside because he can basically compete at the same level as his peers within the classroom based upon the technology and the services that are provided. So when I say real stories, I am living it today. And the outcomes for me and my family are huge. The fact that he wants to go to school now, that he enjoys being in class. It was transformative for him as an individual, for us as a family, and for the school, it gave them a talking point in preparing others and families that are transitioning into our community. And so the power of the local impact is huge, but humanizing it and making it real and understanding that there is a human story behind every challenge that we face. Next slide, please. So imagine, if you will, a future where every learner, regardless of geography, income, or background, can access world-class knowledge that feels relevant to their life, that is tailored to their needs, more importantly, could be specific for those needs that they have. A future where global innovation is translated into local empowerment. And empowerment is huge, because without empowerment, people feel a little bit ostracized, set aside. They're often reluctant to even reach out to determine whether or not there are resources readily available to them. That future is within our reach. In fact, we have reached it already. And we have the tools to continue building it, because once again, we want this to be sustainable, and it has to be sustainable. We're not going back, we're moving forward, and we're moving forward in quantum leaps at light speed today. Next slide. So now I'd like to transition into a more specific topic, and that being building trust in the community. What we want to focus on is what it takes to build a trusted community learning hub. Whether these hubs exist in schools, online platforms, or neighborhood centers, one thing is universal. Trust is the foundation. And without trust, you cannot move forward. As I indicated, I worked in the hospitality industry for a number of years. When I first started in that industry, our mantra was heads in the beds, all right? The more heads in the beds, the more money you make, the doors stay open, right? But then we quickly transitioned with September 11th. And it went from being heads in the beds to, can you protect me? Can you keep me safe in this environment? And now we have transitioned even further to what advents, what technology do I need to have? What is available to me in your location? Particularly in hotels today, technology is the key. People look for expediency. They don't want to wait in lines, and they want you to anticipate their needs. Technology gives us that opportunity. And trust is built through intentional design across 3 dimensions that I'll talk about: physical security, emotional security, and procedural security. When these 3 elements are aligned and work together, learning hubs become places where people feel safe, respected, and empowered to grow. Next slide, please. These 3 pillars form the backbone of any trusted learning environment. Physical security ensures that people feel protected from harm. In my job as a regional director, corporate director of security, the paramount thing was to make sure that once people entered that environment, that they felt safe, that they felt valued, and more importantly, that they were free to explore and experience it in all its entirety. To do that, you have to have some sound measures in place. Physical security is pretty simple. Doors that's supposed to be locked should lock. Cameras that are opening or working should view and monitor all activity. It's real simple. It's not that difficult, but in order to have that, you have to make sure that everything is in place. Proper training, the proper use of technology, the understanding of how that technology is incorporated into that experience for those individuals in that either that workplace, that hotel, that movie theater, that shopping center, that mall. Procedural security ensures that systems are fair, predictable, and transparent. So in other words, without sound systems in place, procedures, have you will, local standard operating procedures for hotels per se, or whatever environment you might be working in. They have to be transparent. They have to be predictable. They have to be sustainable. But the most important piece here is the emotional security. People have to feel safe. If people do not feel safe, they will not come. It's that simple. And when it comes to schools, I every day look to ensure that my school, for my children, is providing that emotional security and support. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going up and saying, hey, how are you today? What are you doing? But they have security professionals that are on site who greet the children, who help them to their classes, who speak with parents, who are there readily available to answer questions for us. So they have the physical security in place, the emotional support, and then the procedural security where the children know what is expected, how there's access to school. Even parents, I can't walk into any of my children's school without providing some sort of identification, giving some forewarning that I'm coming, and more importantly, making sure they understand why I'm there and the need for me to be there. When one pillar is weak, trust erodes. But when all 3 are strong, learning hubs become stable, reliable anchors for the community and the workplace. Next slide. Physical and emotional security are deeply interconnected. People cannot learn if they do not feel physically safe. The unfortunate reality today is that there are more events that happen that kind of degrade that feeling of security, even if it doesn't specifically impact us. We have access to news any time of the day. We see and hear all types of events that occur. So understanding that physical security is paramount in order to have people come and to continue to come, whether that's a secure school building, a well-lit community center, or a protected online platform. But safety is more than locks and doors. Again, emotional security is what transforms a space into a community. When learners feel seen, respected, and represented, they engage more deeply. They stay longer and build stronger relationships with the space and the people within it. Again, I'm a testament to this. I've had to go back to re-educate myself. And of course, I was a little ambivalent. a little afraid. I'm a little bit older. But once I became part of that community, that environment, open and welcoming as it was, I felt safe and secure. I knew the doors were going to be locked. I knew the cameras were rolling and recording everything that happened. But for me in that space, I had to feel safe and secure. And the educators made me feel that way. Right? They connected with me on an emotional level, understanding that I was a little bit of a different learner than the typical learners they had in their classes. So emotional and physical security are needed in order to make that transition and to sustain it. Next slide, please. Now, with procedural security, it's often overlooked, but it's essential for building trust. Communities trust systems that are consistent and fair. When expectations are clear, when privacy is respected, and when communication is transparent, people feel confident participating. Procedural security signals to learners and families, you can trust this space. You know what to expect here. It reduces anxiety, prevents misunderstandings, and creates a stable foundation for learning. Again, I'm an example of it. I visit the schools that my children attend regularly, and they have procedural security in place at every location. I cannot freely just walk through the door. I have to announce myself. I typically have to call or email or text ahead of time, letting them know the time I plan to be there, the reason for being there. Once I arrive, even though they've seen me multiple times, I still have to show my ID. I still have to sign in. I still have to wear a name badge that identifies me as a visitor in that environment. So again, procedural security signals to learners and families, you can trust this space. Next slide, please. When physical, emotional, and procedural security work together, learning hubs become more than just places. They become, if you will, community assets. They support engagement, strengthen relationships, and create environments where learners of all ages can thrive and flourish. Building trusted hubs isn't just about safety. It's about dignity, once again, belonging, and opportunity. When people feel safe in every sense of the word, they can learn, grow, and contribute to the community in powerful ways. Next slide, please. So I'd like to thank you for your time, for your patience, and for being a part of this wonderful event today. The work ahead is huge, it's big, but we don't have to do it alone. When we combine global knowledge with local wisdom, we unlock the power, the full power of e-learning. So let's build that future together. I thank you once again. Have a great day.
Thank you so much for that. We appreciate it.
Thank you so very much for that wonderful speech and elaborating on the advancement of digital technology. Definitely speaking from a college student and a mother as well. That was awesome to hear and learn from as far as the pillars. Everything was very factual and very educational. Thank you so very much, Mr. Lester Washington. Our next speaker that we have will be Dr. Asaratin, who will elaborate on entrepreneurship, partnership, and also connecting with e-learning to communities as well.
All right, thank you very much. I wasn't supposed to be speaking. I'm covering for one of our speakers, Dr. Wright, but at the same time, I'm going to be sharing some of our thoughts and messages with us today. So once again, thank you for joining. And I'll be talking about disrupting the system. I'm a disruptor, you could say that. I'm always looking at how people can get the awareness by using different tools and all of that. So I will be speaking on building sustainable student-centered learning system, and within a short time that I'm being given. First of all, why the system needed disruptions? Some person may be asking, well, I don't think we need a disruption. I think we need the reason why we need, because there's increasing rise in tuition and student debt. It has been very, very alarming. So it is very important for us to have a type of learning that is more student centered, not just the teacher or the lecturer or the instructor who is in class. A one size fits model. We want to make sure that uh, people are able to get learning in a more student centered form, not just everyone trying to learn. And we've also seen a skills mismatch. There's a lot of colleges, especially here in the US, who are churning out a lot of graduates, but they don't have the right skills because the school, the type of
Mm-hmm.
learning that has been issued to them, has not been able to meet up with the skills that's been needed. So it becomes a very, very big problem. So there's skills mismatch and limited
Mm-hmm.
access. There's a lot of limitation to the access to education because of some of the prerequisite requirement you need to meet. You need to meet maybe pass some standardized tests. You have to meet English proficiency. You have to meet so many things that kind of limit access. So they became a need why we need to have a disruption in this system. Why does this disruption really mean? What does it really mean? It means a purposeful redesign where we are redesigning how education is being offered, trying to make learning more centered, learner centered, or student centered, the case may be, and also looking at competency over just credentials. People have a lot of credentials, have a lot of certifications, but they're not really competent in the task that's being given. So why not? Why don't we cause a disruption? So these are some of the yearnings why what disruption is all about. Trying to make learning more competent based, and making more learner centered, and make also making it more purposeful, not just having a curriculum because it's been adopted in a different country. Oh, it means that you just go to work. No, we want to make sure that is it meeting the needs of those learners and all of that. So those are what disruption is all about. Student-centered learning ecosystem. We may be asking, we're talking about student-centered or learner-centered. How does it look like? It means it's a personalized form of learning where the learners can actually work according to their own pace. They don't need to try to work at the pace of the other student. Take for instance, you are in a class and you have a student who are gifted or students who are very they could learn so fast. So it becomes so difficult for you to meet the needs of those students. Or students who are very, very slow in learning, they need a lot of assistance and all of that. It becomes so difficult for you. So personalized learning is the game changer. It's part of the reason why learning should be student centered in this ecosystem, and it should be outcome driven. It should not just be you have to go from one step to another. You have to go from, yes, we know maturity comes in terms of moving from a grade one, grade two for a child and all of that. But also need to look at the outcome. What is the outcome? Are these persons able to pick up a job later on? Are this person able to go into business and all of that? And is it affordable? Is it affordable? Is one of those things that we really want to look at. Does it touch into real life interaction? Is this something that people could actually use in their everyday life? So those are what student-centered learning ecosystem should be all about. So moving from a linear education to an ecosystem, it means we are living the traditional where you have to enroll, you have to attend, you have to graduate. Well, this type of e-learning that we are talking about bringing to the community is where you are learning, you are applying, you are validating, and also earning, and also reskilling. I keep on telling a lot of people that care to hear me out. You need to continually upskill yourself by way of getting more skills, because the skills you used 2 years ago may not be operational in these years. So it means that you need to upskill yourself. You need to get more skills. So you have to learn first. You have to apply what you've learned. You have to validate. The way for you to validate is for you to be in a very pragmatic environment, like where you go on the job. You at that point you're validating what you're doing. You're not just jumping from attending to graduating, but you are already in the workforce, you're already working, you're already validating. And when you validate, you have a great validation by your employer. You're going to earn from it, which you can use to take care of yourself. Either you want to pursue other goals that you're interested in, or you want to go into business and you upskill yourself again. Like I said, it is very, very essential for you to do that. This is the ecosystem that we are talking about. How we want to bring this to the community, like people who are closer to us, not just the education that we've always known, which is the K-12, where you have to leave, you have to attend, you have to enroll, you have to be get 95% of attendance. No, we should be talking about what are these persons learning, what are these young ones, or at any level, not necessarily someone who is in high school, even while you've already graduated. What is this person learning? What is this person? How is he applying? How is he validating? The best way for you to validate is for you to put yourself out there, get a job, or have some mentors who could tell you, okay, this is what you're doing. That helps your morale to keep on moving forward in your career and earning. When you go to earn and you go to skill yourself. So what are the core pillars of this sustainability that we talked about? Learner agency. Like I talked about, we need to be more learners focused. We shouldn't just dwell so much on the teacher or someone who is issuing those instructions. We should care more about the learner. This is the kind of ecosystem that we're talking about. Access should be affordable. That's what we are doing here at ADollarClass. You're making access to various forms of alternative learning to become more affordable, either through mentorship, through counseling, through training and skills development, through conversation, or even through AI, trying to make it more affordable. Relevance, it is very, very important as a core pillars of sustainability. Whatever you're learning, it should be relevant. Someone who is reading history, you can get history from Wikipedia. You could get a lot of information about what has happened in the past. So you want to make sure that you want to learn something that is relevant to the current economic state, not just something that is already obsolete, not something that's being used years back. Because the moment you're doing that, you're wasting a lot of time. You may not be marketable. You may not be someone who could be able to get a job or be being invested in, because what you've learned, the skills you have, is not relevant to the current disposition, especially with the coming of artificial intelligence. If you don't have skills that are related to this area, people are not going to come to you. The people that are going to come to you are going to be less, because people are clamoring for all that type of technology that is also advanced. And technology use is one pillars of this sustainable ecosystem that we are talking about today. You need to use technology to you need to embrace technology. You need to must have a good mastery of the technology that's being used in the current disposition. And some of the things that we'll be talking about in terms of the role of technology, not just AI alone, in terms of the learner, is that it gives you a personalized pathway. Like I talked about, it gives you a personalized where you can walk at your own pace. You're not in a hurry. You're not trying to follow the curriculum. You set your own time. You set your own curriculum. You set the time that you want to be there and all of that. This helps you to be able to use technology in a form where it becomes more realistic. Real-time assessment, where you get your assessment immediately. Assessment become more objective rather than just being subjective, where the teacher tried to put some level of bias and all of that. You get your assessment based on the performance, based on the input that you've already made. And we also talk about scalability, the role of technology in this ecosystem, make access to become scalable, where you could use technology to expand, you could reach out to people, just like we're having this conversation. Before now, we need to be in a physical environment, but right now we are speaking from different parts. We have our previous speaker who was speaking from far away from Dallas. We also have other speakers who were speaking from Georgia, and other speakers who have spoken in California and all of that. So this makes access to become scalable, because we can actually access this learning form of learning through technology. So that is a very big role of technology. And we also have educators alignment, where you have the educators are able to have a good alignment to some of the things they were doing, augmentation. They're able to work side by side with technology because of what is available to them. So let's talk about redefining assessment and credentials, because check the form of learning that we've always known has been focused on credentials. Go to school, get a degree. When you get a degree, get a job, is no longer sustainable. Is far from the truth now. So we need to emphasize on competency-based format assessment, project validation. You need to set up a project and try to give a validation by way of giving what we call like an assessment. And we also have the micro credentials, where you don't just need to wait for a very summative credentials. You could pick up credentials. You could pick up. It can be an online course for 2 hours or 3 hours. You're graduating it. Those are all micro credentials, which at the end of the day, it adds up. You don't have to wait for an ultimate degree who's going to be issued to you by the president or by the vice chancellor or anyone who is the head of the school. You could actually start picking credentials at every point, at every skills that you are interested in. You don't need to wait for an ultimate credential that will be sent to you. So these are ways we could redefine assessment. Educators and designers. So it is very important for these players to work together in creating this ecosystem, because we need to have more coaches, we need to have more mentors, we need to have content creators who are going to create this content for people to make use of. And so let's now talk a little bit about the inclusion and global equity. So inclusion and global equity, it is essential for us to have this at our hand, because what I would like to know, if we're talking about an e-learning we are bringing to the community, we need to create an equity where there's no disparity between those who are learning, those who are the type of learners and all of that. At every level, everyone is welcome. For someone who have some level of disability, can be at home and still learn. You don't need to try to get to class and all of that. It can be with every disability equipment that is available and still able to learn like every other person who doesn't have a disability. So that way, it increases inclusion and global equity for us. So what are some of the alternative learning institutions that we think we could be part of? We have online business schools. If you're someone who wants to be an entrepreneur, you can actually go in there and get online business experience. Micro degree platforms. We have Course Area, we have Allison, we have Udemy. We have so many micro degree platform where you could get credentials, not the ultimate credentials from a typical university or a college. You could actually get those micro degree. Employers integrated training, like I talked about, the on-the-job internship and all of that. These are alternative learning institutions where you could actually learn for your own self. So let's not talk about measuring success, how success is being measured differently. Employment and outcome. So employment should be matched with outcome. Skills mastery. You want to master the right skills that will help you to, that will give us a leverage. Because one of the things a lot of employers are having difficulty with is that most of the workforce, they don't have the required skill set. There's a mismatch. That becomes a bigger problem to employ someone. You don't want to get someone who don't have the required skills. It's going to take tons of time for you to bring that person to that level. So you see a lot of employers preferring referrals, people who have worked, or schools or institutions who are already doing some of those jobs and all of that, because of the skills mismatch. So learners need to know that for you to stand a chance in the competition, you need to get skills that is needed, in industry-based skills, not just a curriculum-based skills that you got from university. It's not going to help you in this current disposition. The future of learning. What are the future of learning? Modular education, like I talked about, the course area. We have a lot of platforms today where you could actually learn AI guided personalization, where you could actually learn. If you're someone who is very conversant with ChatGPT, you could actually learn a lot of things from there. Global collaboration. You want to collaborate online is available to everyone now. You don't need to be in a city for you to learn what other persons are learning. You could actually get on LinkedIn, connect with people from different cities, from different countries, and collaborate. Never can tell where this collaboration can take you to. So the time where you're being limited, oh, I don't have people around. You don't need to be in meetup events. You don't need to be in a particular place. Go to platforms that have a huge follower where you could actually learn, because those are some of the best way for you to collaborate. So, call to action. We need to rethink our policies. This going to the government, we need to rethink the policy. We need to do something differently. We can't continue doing what we're doing 10 years ago or 20 years ago. We're still going to get the same result. We are in the age of AI. We need to rethink some of the policies that we have. That we need to invest in learners first model. With all this while, we've been investing on the teacher first or teacher center or the instructor center. We need to focus more on learner first models. We also need to do a cross-sector partnership, like I talked about, collaboration. People should be encouraged to collaborate. There's nothing wrong for you to collaborate with other people. You don't need to be too used to your community. You need to collaborate with other community, because this helps you to get ahead ahead of others. And we need to design to scale. We don't need to just design in such a way that it's being limited. We need to design something that is scalable, that can reach out to more people and all of that. So that's some of the things that I want to share with you in terms of causing a disruption. So I'm going to close with this. Education should empower students to shape the future. It is very important for us to use education or use learning generally to empower the future, not just to use education to make the future to be static. No, we need to make it more dynamic, make it more scalable, where people could actually do something different, open source, not just closed-minded. We need to try to make education to cut across every areas where people could actually learn. You don't need to be limited. We have technology can do that for us. So that's one of the things that we have for today. You can always reach out to me if you want to learn more about some of the things that I believe in. I'm Dr. Kosari Tinagbonovai. I'm a human computer interaction specialist. It's so nice having you today, and I hope you have a great afternoon.
Wonderful speech. Very elaborating, very educational. I do appreciate how you elaborated on necessary skills and partnership, personalized, adapting learning. Very well spoken, Dr. Satharan. I'm quite sure our audience could also resonate with those topics as well and take those to their professional life to apply. Our next panelist that we have on board is Hayden Burnett, student-focused leader and culture builder. Now introducing Hayden Burnett.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll get right into it. I do have some slides here that hopefully will get pulled up here in a second. Perfect. There we go. Thank you for that introduction. Yes, my name is Hayden Burnett. I'm a 10 plus year teacher coach. I've worked in various roles from athletic director to head football coach, head basketball coach. I've taught business, physical education, health, even taught driver's ed. So pretty well-rounded when it comes to the education side of things. Getting right into it, we're going to talk about building championship cultures in learning communities and what that looks like. A lot of the time I talk about building championship cultures, it's related to sports. Today we're going to kind of correlate it to the learning community side of things and the education side of things, which I'm excited to do. And we're going to do that through 4 core pillars: stay, fight, love, and grow. And how mentorship, high expectations, and character-driven leadership create environments where our young people not only achieve academically, but develop the resilience and integrity to lead in their communities on a day-to-day basis. I can switch these slides. You can go to the next slide there. All right, so here we're talking about global innovation in education. We hear words today like e-learning, technology systems, and scalability. Those are words we hear quite often, right? While these are important, here's what I want you to hear. Every breakthrough eventually walks into a classroom as a student with a backpack, a story, and a need to feel seen. Again, I want you to hear that. Every breakthrough eventually walks into a classroom in some aspect as a student with a backpack, a story, and a need to feel seen. As a coach, as a teacher, I've spent my life in locker rooms, classrooms, hallways where success wasn't decided by technology. Ultimately, it was decided by those who stayed, by those who pushed, by those who loved when it was hard, by those who refused to give up on young people in the end. And that brings us to those four core pillars, and they hit home to me in every aspect when I really think about this. That is where mentorship, that is where culture, and that's where character live, in those four pillars. And today I'm going to share how we can build that championship culture in learning communities that it just doesn't teach, it transforms. That's what we're looking to do on a day-to-day basis. So why this matters? Students today are connected to the world like never before, especially with technology in every aspect. Yet many feel disconnected. Hear this. Many feel disconnected than ever where it matters most. Technology can scale content. We see it all the time. But relationships don't scale automatically. That's where the bigger picture lies. Every student walks into our spaces with potential. Every single one of them, from every walk of life. But potential without guidance, without expectation, without character, often goes unfulfilled. A lot of kids fall through the cracks, right? Culture isn't a program. Culture is what students feel, what they see, and what they experience every single day. That's on the field, that's in the classroom, it's in their community. If culture isn't intentional, it doesn't disappear, it defaults. So we have a choice, right? Are we building environments that produce leaders? Or are we allowing students to drift through systems that only measure performance? This is where we move right into those four pillars, right? I'm going to ask that one more time. Are we building environments that produce leaders? Or are we allowing students to drift through systems that only measure performance? Right, that brings us to pillar number one. We talk about stay. When I talk about stay, I really talk about staying in the moment. I really break these four pillars down by moments. You stay in the moment, you fight through the tough moments, love others in their moments, and grow in every moment. So when we talk about staying in the moment, what does that look like? Show up. Be present. Be consistent. Before a student will ever listen to what you say, they have to believe you're not leaving when things get hard. One of my favorite sayings, just as a teacher, as a coach in general, is students don't care what you know until they know that you care. Students don't care what you know until they know that you care. That will preach. Mentorship starts with consistency. Culture starts with reliability. And when we talk about stay, it doesn't always mean having the right answers. I personally know for a fact I'm not going to have all the right answers. I'll do everything I can to find the right answers. It means that's when questions get uncomfortable, those are the tough questions you got to ask. When a kid is struggling, you're going to have to ask uncomfortable questions. When you don't, you allow them to just struggle and not fight with them through that struggle. In a world where digital tools can deliver lessons, the human presence scales belonging. That's really what we're driving home within this whole understanding of how do we build that championship culture in life, in our learning communities.
Mm-hmm.
Belonging is the foundation of our learning. When a student feels like he belongs, she belongs, they belong, that ultimately is the foundation of learning. It's where it starts, right? Once students know you'll stay, the next step is helping them fight for their own growth. So we move into fight. When I think fight through the tough moments. All of us online here today, students, everyone comes with a different story, from a different walk of life, a different background. It can look like 1,000 different things, a million different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fighting through, I think we all have some aspect throughout our life about fighting through a tough time. What does that look like? What does it look like to fight through a tough time? Man, it looks like tough. It looks like pain. It looks like intentionality of belief, right? It looks like showing up. Belief looks like accountability. Care without standards is comfort. Standards without care is pressure. Great mentors and great leaders do both. So we fight for our students academically, socially, emotionally, in every aspect, right? Mm-hmm. That might sound cliche to some people, whatever that looks like. Man, when I say that, I mean that. Academically, socially, and emotionally. That's in every walk of life, especially as a teacher. I don't take that lightly. And as a coach, you're around students and kids all day long, more than their parents are in a lot of regards. So fighting for them, not only academically, which is as important as the others, but socially and emotionally in every aspect. And doing so much life with them, it takes an intentionality where you've got to get to know them. It's going to be intentional relationship building on a day-to-day basis. And when it's not, you allow students to just sit where they're at and not move forward. Right? Mm-hmm. We want to do the opposite. We want to teach them that challenges aren't roadblocks. They're innovations to grow. They're invitations to grow. When learning communities fight for students, students learn how to fight for themselves, and they learn how to fight through life, right? And I think part of that is modeling behavior, right? Practice what you preach in every aspect of being a teacher, a coach, a mentor, a leader. And fighting for students, showing them that you're going to show up every day consistently in fighting for them. It teaches those students how to fight for themselves. It teaches them how to fight through life, because at some point life will punch you right in the mouth, right? It's going to knock you down at some point. And everyone that looks different. It could be when you're a kid. It could be when you're an adult. It could be when you're a teenager, right? How are you going to respond? If you haven't been taught how to respond through that, you can't expect someone to know how to respond, right? And that's what we're looking to do every day. Looking to push kids to fight for themselves. And we've got to do that by teaching them how to, and that's by showing up, right? And that leads us right into fighting to get to the point of growth. Fighting, part of that, we're going into our third pillar, love. And this is one of my favorites, if not my favorite, because you talk about loving others in their moments, right? I think so many times we get caught up in our own selfishness, right? And we let life and work and everything happening around us get to the point where we almost shut down and we're worried on ourselves and focus on ourselves. We forget all of the other people around us, right? When we're in a healthy mindset, I think love plays a big part in it, right? Showing others that you care. That helps your own mental state and where you're at in life, pushing forward. When we talk about love is often, especially within the coaching world, misunderstood as softness, right? But I'll be the first one to say it's anything but soft. People do not care what you know until they know that you care. Like, love is consistency. Love is truth delivered with compassion. Love is walking with students through struggle instead of around. I want you to hear me again on that. Love is walking with students through struggle instead of around. Strong cultures aren't built on resumes or titles. They're built on relationships. And ultimately, those relationships, to invest in kids, you have to show them what love looks like. If it was easy, everybody would do it, right? Every interaction matters. Every check-in matters. Every conversation leaves a mark, right? And that can look like, man, when I'm standing in the hallway when the bell rings for the 5 minutes during that passing period. It might not even be a student I had in class, right? Every interaction, so I try to do a good job of it. I can't say that I'm perfect at it by any means, but I try to do a good job of getting in the hallway right when the bell rings and setting the standard of, I want these kids to see my face. I want them to hear me ask, how's your day going? Right? Having a conversation, checking on them. And again, that could be a student that's in my class, not in my class. How you get to know students. I like to get to know as many students by name as possible, because when I remember that name, when I see them the second, third time, they remember that. I remember my name. I can't even remember. I didn't even remember telling them that. Right? And the intentionality of when we really take it to the point of every interaction truly matters. Every check-in, check-up matters. Every conversation leaves a mark. Everything we do, right? Everything we do, especially in a position of leadership, where kids' eyes are on us all day long. All of those things matter, and it has to be intentional. When we stay, when we fight, and when we love well, we create the conditions for our fourth pillar, which is growth. So we move into growth, final pillar, right? And ultimately, we put those three together to get to this point. Because if we're not growing, what are we doing in life, right? We're not growing, we're not moving forward. And ultimately, all of this comes to the point of put those together to get to growth. So final pillar is growth. Skills evolve, content changing, technology advances. But character travels everywhere a student goes, right? You think old school. I want old school to be new school. And character still matters, right? We teach reflection. We teach resilience. We teach responsibility. Growth means leaving students better than we found them, right? The old saying, grandma, mom, grandpa said, when you go to somebody else's house, and let's say you stay the night, when you get up the next morning and you leave, you want to leave a place you went to better than you found. Same is true with students. Growth. Growth means leaving students better than we found them. Equipped not just to succeed, but to lead, to serve, and to contribute in their communities, in life, in whatever aspect of future looks like for them, right? Championship cultures don't just develop grades. That is a byproduct of a championship culture. But they develop grit. They develop integrity. And ultimately, they develop people into meaningful and hopefully successful members of our society, members of life that make a difference in others' lives and the people around them. They make a difference by staying in the moment, being present. Like they make a difference by showing up, by being consistent. They make a difference by loving others, by going out of their way. And why does that person continue to ask me how I'm doing it? Why does he care so much? I want them to ask those questions. I want to plant that seed, because ultimately that's contagious, and that's where kids learn to grow when they see it replicated, when they feel it replicated, and that's important. It's important to building culture. It's important to building culture in our communities, on our teams, in our programs, in our schools. Ultimately, here's how we apply it. Right, mentorship isn't a role; it's a responsibility.
Yeah.
So we look at culture. Culture's built in the hallways. Culture's built in the classroom. Culture's built in the small moments, the check-ins, the checkups, the how are you doing, the how is your day going. just smiling at a student or a colleague just because they might look sad or just because you want to smile at them, right? It looks like tough conversations. Character is modeled, not mandated. Every community already has a culture in some aspect. The only question is whether it's intentional or accidental. And ultimately, the people that are in positions such as ourselves can play a part in deciding that. Is it intentional or is it accidental? Global vision matters in every regard, especially within education. But transformation happens locally, right? It happens in our communities. It happens where we're at on a day-to-day basis in life. One mentor, one standard, in one relationship at a time. So be the adult who stays when we talk to all of the people that are in a position where, especially you've got younger eyes, students, whatever that might be, right? Be the adult who stays. Be the leader who fights for students. Be the mentor who loves with truth. And be the builder who grows people, not just programs, and not just yourself. Be the builder who grows people. That's what we're looking to do, which builds communities. And that builds a better tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And lastly, championship cultures, and you can move to that last slide because I believe I've got it on there. Championship cultures aren't built by technology alone, especially in a technology-driven society. They're built by people who stay, who fight, who love, and who build, even when it would be easier to walk away. And if we can't all relate to that, then I didn't do my job. Thank you guys for letting me share. Oh, yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Amanda, you there? All right. Thank you very much, Aiden, for sharing that with us. So we're going to go into we're going to pick some questions since other speakers couldn't make it out. Okay. You good. So there's a question for Mr. Lester. There's a question from Micah from LinkedIn. It says, in an era of budget, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Mr. Lester? I think you're muted.
There we go. I can hear you.
Yeah. So there's a question from Micah, LinkedIn. He said, in an era where there's budget cuts, how do you justify and measure the return of investment of proactive security and trust building measures in a learning environment?
You know, the reality of it is, with cost constraints today, you have to be very creative. So you have to have a vision in your projections, first of all, and in your presentation. So being able to give a broad overview on how you can incorporate the use of that technology, its importance to that environment, that work group, or that industry is paramount. I found in my experience that in order for me to get approval for technology that I want to incorporate, I first had to build a very reasonable and factual business case. Mm-hmm. So understanding how I would apply that technology, the need for the technology, and how I would sustain it and help it to grow in a future state. Because with the technology that I incorporated in my career, I wanted to ensure that it was scalable, it was sustainable, and that as technology evolved, that technology would lend itself to being able to upgrade and evolve with those advancements. So being able to show that, and the return on the investment is pretty simple. Once you get the technology in place, it'll pay for itself, because what most businesses fail to realize, it's not the losses you incur, it's the losses you prevent. So with the advent of technology and its use and implementation, you can then basically graph out, map out, and show data on what losses you have prevented through the use of that technology and incorporate it.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. Hayden, there's a question for you. Hayden, are you there?
Yeah.
Hayden, can you hear?
Right here.
Okay. Yeah, there's a question for you from Aya. Aya is sending a question from YouTube. It says, in a result-based world, how do you help mentors and coaches measure the growth of intangible traits like integrity or resilience?
Will you repeat that one more time?
So in a result-based, like in a result-oriented world, how do you help mentors and coaches to measure the growth of intangible traits like integrity or resilience?
Okay. So let me get it straight. You're asking how you measure those traits for coaches?
Yeah.
Okay. As a coach in charge, essentially?
Yeah, like as a coach or as a mentor, how can they measure those traits? Integrity, resilience, where everybody's care more about result oriented. People were talking about results.
Yeah, for sure. Those are. I think the biggest piece there is consistency is how you're going to measure those. As in the leadership positions I've been in, it's obviously something I'm looking for on a day-to-day basis within my staff, but it's also something that when you're in a position of leadership that you can ultimately model those. I like to have growth sessions with my coaches and with my leaders where we sit in, and it's not me talking at them or giving them a big spiel, but it's us growing together. And a lot of those sessions are specifically what we talked about today. It's something we'll work through on what makes us better. What can we do to be better on a daily basis, to be more resilient, to be more consistent with how we approach our kids every day to help them succeed. So I think that's a big part of it is consistently visiting as a staff, as a unit. How can we be better every day? We're never at a point, when we get to a point where we don't feel like there's any room for growth, then we're in a tough spot. We've lost, right? We always want to be in a growth mindset when it comes to that specifically. So I love that question because ultimately you can't have tangible results as far as data when it comes to that. But what you can have is consistency, and that's showing up every day. And that's as a staff and as individuals growing outside of work, right? It's growing at 7 a.m. in the morning with your coaching staff in a room, talk about how can we be better today, and what is that?
Okay. Mother, do you have some questions in your end for Hayden or Lester?
All right. And it looks like I have a question from Sarah Jenkins from Facebook. And this is for Lester, Washington.
Okay.
And the question I have is, we often have to be counselors, mediators, and security. What is one de-escalation technique you think every educator should know by heart?
Truly, the one thing is to be a great listener. What I found throughout my 38 years in diffusing situations within corporate settings, hotel settings, first of all, people want to be heard. So just listening, being a good listener to gather an understanding of what their concerns might be, their fears, or their recommendations for that matter. And then at that point, you can formulate your response because you have a better understanding. And typically, I would paraphrase back to them what I felt I had heard to assure I had a clear understanding of what their concerns were before responding. And then to provide them with my insights and guidance as I felt fit that particular situation. But the real thing is to be a great listener and to be empathetic and understand. Because oftentimes people would come to me with questions and situations that I myself had dealt with both professionally and personally. So being a great listener.
Very well answered. I also have another question for you, Mr. Lester, from Tommy O'Sivian, father of three, from Facebook. He states, beyond clear backpacks and metal detectors, what does a true safe school culture look like and feel from a student's perspective, and how do we build it?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question one more time? Could you repeat the question for me, please?
Absolutely. 1 second. It said, beyond clear backpacks and metal detectors, what does a true safe school culture look like and feel from a student's perspective, and how do we build it?
That's a great question, a real great question, because I deal with that regularly with the schools my children attend. And so it's a collaboration and it's an open discourse between school administrators, teachers, and security professionals. On the first day of school, typically with my younger children, I will meet with the security professionals at the school so that one, they know who I am, will recognize my face because they're going to see me regularly. Then it's basically speaking with the administrators, the educators, so that we can collaborate on what messaging they're providing in school with respect to the student's safety. What are the drills that are being conducted? Do they have a formalized plan for an active shooter situation? Do they train against that with the students, incorporating that they are younger and also going to be much more fearful? So understand that the teachers, the administrators, they have to be the voice of reason, the voice of calm, and the security professionals helping them to understand that they are there to, one, help educate them, because that's their role as well. They are educators. I look to the security professionals to be educators in the school setting. But then when the need arises, they are there to help guide and then to protect. And so that's the best way to approach it, I would say.
Thank you so much.
Understood. All right. I have my next question for Hayden. This next question is for Hayden. There we are. All right. And I have Lisa Wang, a soccer mom, logging in from Facebook. She's a parent of a teen athlete. She states, as a parent, I see pressure on young athletes. How can we support the culture you describe without adding to the burnout? And what should our role be?
Yeah, that's a great question. That really is, because I've seen it too. And I think specifically with that, it takes intentionality as coaches, and unfortunately, you're not going to get there. And it's part of it. And hopefully, if it's like that at some places, and you have the ability to be able to go elsewhere, if it's a situation like that, I hope that's the case. As far as holding the pressure back, I think the biggest thing is, for me as a coach, is getting the buy-in by being a high-level communicator with parents as well. I think that's something that is not, and you just don't see it as often as I would like to see it. Communicating at a high level with parents and having them ultimately buy into your program and what you're doing for the kids on a day-to-day basis is a huge plus, because it gets in front of a lot of that conflict and resolves it before you ever get to the situation. I think once on the parent side of things, if they have been communicated to clear, then really buying into and helping push their kid to achieve those standards. Every program's going to have different standards, high, some low, some in between. Ultimately, it takes an intentional parent to be involved in that child's life to know where that standard is at, and ultimately if they need to raise that standard. I think that's the mindset I would personally have. I don't have any kids of my own, but that it's certainly the thought process in my mind is holding the standard where it's set, but that also comes with knowing where the standard's set. It's unfortunate that there are a lot of parents that see that aren't as invested as you would want them to be, and ultimately that's where a coach and a teacher, the consistency and showing up every day is key. But the parents, sounds like that we have here that wants to know how to. It's by plugging in. It really is. It's by being on the same page as that kid, and ultimately it allows you to, like I said, hold that student and that child to that standard. Because if you don't know the standard, you're not sure if he's holding the standard. What your kid tells you might not be the standard. It might be their standard, right? And a parent that knows otherwise, it puts them in a lot better spot to be able to help coach, help the program, and help the kid. I hope that answers all of that.
Got it. All right. And it looks like I also have one more question for you. Looks like Anaya Petrova from YouTube. She states, you focus on character development and in results obsessed world. How do you help mentors and coaches measure the pressure of motivation and remaining resilient?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it kind of follows in line with that first question I had. And what I really think about specifically with this is kind of what we just talked about. It's holding coaches need to be held to a standard as well, and that's a standard that needs to continue to grow and be raised. If that standard is set at a high level and you're continuing to reach higher and higher, you're in a really good spot to have tangible results. So we talk about a results-driven world. I think personally it's having those intentional growth sessions with your coaches, with your teams. It's also, that's a standard that I'm going to put out there and let parents in the community know this is our standard right now for our coaches. This is where it's at, and this is what we do to reach that standard every single day. And I might outline we have a 7 a.m. meeting once a week with a district-wide coaches at one school, and it's a growth meeting, and maybe it's a book study. I've seen that. I've done that quite a few different ways. And it allows those parents in the community to see, wow, these coaches really are doing some of the little things outside of it, on top of the hours they spend already at the school with the kids. I think that's what it takes. And it takes transparency, it takes honesty, it takes vulnerability, and those are, if those things were easy, we would see it everywhere, and unfortunately we don't. But those things are important to building all of the things she just talked about. We talk about resilience. Ultimately, it's hard to measure those things when you don't have coaches that are vulnerable, that are transparent, that are authentic. You don't see it. A lot of them, you see a lot of coaches talk the right things, say the right things. But ultimately, if you don't see them doing those things on a daily basis, it puts you in a tough spot. But I think a lot of that's going to come through. I'm an open book. Here's what it looks like to be on X coaching staff, and this is where our standards are. Yeah, and holding that standard and continuing to raise that standard, I think allows you to, again, I think of, let's say she was a parent there, having a conversation with another parent that might be asking about said coaching staff. And I've just given you tangible things that you can talk about. And this coaching staff is awesome because they plug in. They meet every week as a coaching staff to do a book study on growth. They meet every month as a district-wide coaching staff just to brainstorm about how do we help our kids be more successful on how we start practice every day, or how we can decompress at the end of the week by not letting the pressure build up too high where we're running kids off. Again, whatever that looks like, but it gives people in community tangible things to talk about, where those things start to drive themselves, the results start to speak.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it. Well said. Well said. I have one last question for Lester Washington from Cassie on YouTube.
Okay.
All right. All right. Cassie is logging in from YouTube. What trade schools would be are also considered alternative learning institutions?
What trade schools are considered alternative learning institutions? That's a great question,
Yeah,
Cassie. I may
I
have to
apologize.
defer to
Let me
Hayden
re-quote
on
that question. Which trade schools also?
I'll say again. No, I'm sorry. Say again.
Or
Okay,
Hayden, is that a question that you'll be able to answer as well?
So
Yeah, I think
I
Hayden
think
can
that,
take
that question, I think that question is to me. I think the question to Mr. Lester should be, when it comes to AI learning, what type of involvement will teachers and others, faculty
For
have?
Hayden.
that for Hayden or for me?
Yeah, that's for you.
Okay.
When it comes
AI
to
learning,
AI
what type of
learning,
involvement would teachers and other faculty have?
yeah,
Well, with the
yeah.
AI learning, the first thing I would really say is to be cautious, because AI, it accesses everything that's available out there. So setting some parameters with your students as to what they can access, and if need be, put it in stopgap so that they can't access formats and material that is not going to be conducive to the learning environment. But with teachers and administrators, AI is a great tool. I mean, knowing how to utilize AI, access it, it can create great PowerPoint presentations. It can help you better understand, complex issues that you may be trying to sift through. It gives you great data updates. So AI can provide all types of information, but knowing how to properly utilize it, who should be accessing it, and the format it should be accessed in is important for teachers and faculty to understand. Again, I have 5 children in schools, different levels, and they all access AI at different levels based upon their core curriculum, the courses, and recommendations from teachers. But my wife and I, we oversee that to ensure that it makes sense for them and that it's not too far reaching, or then puts them in another realm to where they're asking questions that are not conducive to the learning environment that we want them to have. So ensuring that AI does not take them leaps and bounds into other areas and forays that they don't really need to be accessing. So having those proper stopgaps in place, understanding the use of the technology and how it should be utilized and what platforms it'll be accessed on.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that. So I'm just going to respond to Casey's question. I believe that question was to me. It says, what trade school can be considered as one of the alternative learning institutions? There's a lot of mentorship program that is available, mentorship school, leadership school, even schools who talks about business and incubation program, accelerator program, fellowship, and all of that. These are 3 schools that you could actually do online. You don't need to be in a physical environment. You can go to your county or wherever you are, whatever state that you are, Casey. There are so many alternative learning schools. Not the alternative learning that we would know for students who couldn't cope with their education, the regular education, but the alternative learning, like other ways education can be supplemented by way of being in incubation program, be in an acceleration program, in a fellowship, like an online business school, a TED, even TED. Those are also TED talks program under leadership. These are all alternative learning institutions that you could actually learn as a person. And in your county, there are so many of them. Not necessarily a community college, but even in some of those schools, you have ways people could actually learn. You have programs, you have groups, network programs where you could actually learn. So school per se is not like being official, but it could also be a gathering where people are able to learn from themselves or peer tutoring and all of that. Those are all form of the alternative learning institutions that you could actually learn from. So if you really want to learn more about that, you can go to your county and ask them about some of the programs, and for sure you're going to get tons of program that's ongoing that you could actually be part of. There is a question for Aiden. I don't know if you're there. Someone was trying to join in. Just give me a second. I'm trying to get a question up. Yeah, so there's a question for you, Aiden. We'll bring it on stage from LinkedIn. The question says, we try to import sport team building model into corporate training with mixed results. What is the most common mistake company makes in that translation, and how do we avoid it? This is coming from Daniel in LinkedIn. I repeat, we try to import sports team building models into corporate training with mixed results. What is the most common mistake company makes in the transition, and how do we avoid it?
If I heard you right, you said they've gotten mixed results.
Yeah, I said what people try to import sports team building models, like how to build a team, like team building models into corporate training.
Yep.
With a mixed result, like the result that's been gotten is mixed. Okay. And so the question is, what is the most common mistake companies, these corporate business owners make in that translation, and where do they avoid it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think it's the person that's making that decision ultimately has to do their research. If you don't take the time to vet who and what is going to be essentially preached to your company and your team, it puts you in a tough spot to maximize the time that you have for growth there, right? It can be good, but if you're not fully invested as the leader that's pushing it out there, it makes it really tough for your company as a whole to get as much out of it as they should to maximize that. I think that's a big part of it, and that takes some intentionality on and attention to detail. I think as a coach, sometimes probably too obsessed with attention to detail, but ultimately, I think that's what it takes to do things at a high level consistently. It's the attention to detail, and with things such as that, I take that specifically very seriously. Who I would let speak to, let's say, my team, who I would let come in and run a session, whatever that might look like. I take that very seriously because they're making an impression on what ultimately I'm in charge of building, right? So for a company, I'm going to look at where do we want to be? What's our goal? What do we want to get out of this? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be very intentional about choosing who and what comes in and what that looks like, because I want to maximize growth. And again, that comes with having a speaker, having, hosting a training, whatever that might look like. It's got to be very intentional and to a point where every aspect of what's going to be said, how it's going to operate, the efficiency of it, and what that looks like. And again, I've said it a few times with different things. If it was easy, everybody would do it. Unfortunately, it's not the case. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. There's another question for Mr. Lester. I'm going to bring you up on stage. So the question is coming from LinkedIn, the same LinkedIn. It says, for small community centers with limited resources, what are the top three low-cost physical and procedural safety upgrade we must implement? This is coming from Maria Garcia from LinkedIn.
Okay, if I think I understand the question, she's asking what three things would be considered essential for security upgrades to a community center that had limited resources.
Yeah.
Okay. The first thing with limited resources, I would look to the local law enforcement because they have great outreach programs, and they also have funding for small businesses, small community hubs as well too. So I would look to them for programs that they support and endorse, where they can assist you in upgrading and upscaling the physical security of your location, i.e. either access control on doors, access cards that need to be presented, or ID badges that may be needed for access into the facility, maybe a camera upgrade. Maybe you need cameras in certain specific locations to catch activity where you don't have physical presence. And then after that, you really want to make sure that the personnel within the facility understand that they are essentially the first line of defense. They are the eyes, the ears. They see what is happening each and every day. They are familiar with the personnel, the people, the community that comes and goes from that facility. So being knowledgeable as to who they are, familiarity builds consistency. People like to be recognized by their names. So you recognize people, you greet them, they do come back, you form bridges, relationships. So incorporating the use of local law enforcement because they have funding and technology, they oftentimes will incorporate into your location in support of their initiatives as well too. Two, understanding that their team knows that they are a part of that whole plan. They are the first link. They are the defense. Knowing the location, understanding their clientele, and how they interact with them is paramount. And then third, understanding that in its entirety, it's really up to you on how you utilize the technology that you do have available to you. It may not have all the bells and whistles, but if the cameras aren't working, if the doors don't lock as they're designed, you know, that's a self-defeating prophecy right there. You're not going to go anywhere with it.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think this question is directed to me, coming from Alina from Facebook. Alina says, where test scores keep dropping, what is one thing parents can realistically push for that will create quick, noticeable change in how our kids are taught? Okay, thank you, Lena, for sharing that. As regarding test scores dropping, I think it's part of what I also spoke about, personalized learning. So you want to try to use technology to assist your child, and also have a meeting with the teacher in the classroom to see what best technology I can assist your child, because what I would like to note, technology has gone so wide that there's always a technology for every child who is having some struggles. So for a child, I don't really know in terms of the test score, is it in math or in English? But take for instance, if your child is having some low score test scores in math, take for instance, you could actually assist your child at home with some YouTube videos on how to count. If your child is in the middle school or in the high school, some basic knowledge of geometry or trigonometry, or if the child is in high school doing pre-calculus, the child could actually be introduced to that, because there's a lot of teachers, a lot of resources online your child could actually assist. So, but that is at home. While in school, you could have a meeting with the teacher to see how some tools that she has available, he or she has available, could actually assist your child. trust me, that could actually help to increase the test score of your child, because that is more realistic, just like you said, and it may not be quick like you wanted and noticeable, but learning is gradual. You're not going to get an instant result at that moment. So you may see those results later on in the future, but there are a lot of tools out there that can actually assist, especially edutech oriented tools that you can actually access online. Some of them are free. They can actually use to support your child, and you also want to try to take maybe at home, maybe extra lessons. There are some online program that you don't need to try to source for a tutor. You could actually get those tutors online, and those tutors could actually assist your child so that those test scores can actually increase. Because right now, the work about a child is not just for the teacher alone. The parents also need to be involved. So you want to take extra step to go online, which is so easy. Put it on Google, look at some of the tools that can assist the child having deficiency in math or in English or in science or in social science or any area that you think your child is having some difficulty, and you're going to see tons of resources that can actually assist. And there you can have a discussion with the teacher to see how those tools can be implemented, and you could also have a supplement of it while you're at home. So those are some of the things I believe could actually assist your child in increasing some of those test scores. Amanda, do you have some questions left for other speakers? Amanda, do you still have some questions?
Let's see. It looks like I do have one for you.
Okay.
It states from Carlos Mendez from Facebook: systematic change often leaves out community voice after the initial listening. How do you structurally ensure communities are co-designers, not just consultants, throughout the entire process?
Sorry, can you repeat that again, please?
Sure.
Can you repeat that?
Systematic change often leaves out community voice after the initial listening. How do you structurally ensure communities are co-designers, not just consultants, throughout the entire process?
I think the first way those community could be called creators or designers is to get them involved, because you don't want to assist the community and what you're assisting is not really operational in that community. So you want to make sure that those community individual stakeholders are involved in whatever thing you're doing. Let them bring their ideas, put them in that forum, put them in that community, put them in that program, so that you can just say that there's nobody in the community that could actually be part of what you're doing. So you want to get them involved, so that when when they're involved, that will help in the design you're trying to implement. It will be able to meet the needs of those community. They could also give their own suggestions based on their own need. They could also help in evaluating at the end of the day to see areas you could actually work on. So while you are deliberating on the type of design or instruction that you want to do that is learners oriented or centered, you also want to make sure that it's community centered, where you are bringing players, those who are involved in the community, who are in everyday activities, bring them part of, even if they are not specialists in the type of learning you're bringing, but they could actually give their own contribution. The contribution may be crude, may not be what is obtainable. You could, as a curriculum designer or someone who want to create a program and refine it. You take it online, talk with some expert and refine it, and have a meeting with them that is this what you meant, and they could also share with you on all of that. Because at the end of the day, what you're trying to do for the community is for the community. So if you're doing something that doesn't meet the needs of the community, there's no point. So you want to make sure they are part of those designers. They may not be the expert in that team, but they could actually give their suggestion. They could actually leave their feedback that could help in whatever design that you are giving.
Understood. Thank you so much for that answer. And also have for you, Dave, as well. Looks like from Priya Sharma, assistant principal. You talk about accelerating outcomes in 45 days. What does the first week of the intensive model look like in a classroom, practically speaking?
Can you repeat that again, please?
Sure. Let's see. You talk about accelerating outcomes. What does the first week of an intensive model look like in a classroom, just typically speaking?
Yeah, the first week of intensive model for in the classroom, is in the community, is to try to make the students or the learners or whatever program you're doing, not just in the school alone, even if it is in the for corporate organization, you want to kind of introduce to them some of the technology that you'll be talking about, that you'll be using during the program, just for them to have an hands-on, just for them to have a familiarization, because you cannot have that success that you're looking at for to accelerate outcome when they are not used to it. So the first week of it is you have to do some introduction, you have to familiarize themselves with some of those technology, so they have a good mastering of it, so that when they take off, maybe the second week or the third week, you're able to have that desired acceleration that you're looking for, or the outcome you're looking for, because they're already used to it. They've already have an outcome. They've already tried this technology. They've already seen some of the weaknesses, see the strength of it, and all of that. Talked about it. They've already gone through the struggles, the process, and all. And then in the fifth week, they can always accelerate, and eventually they're going to see those results that you need. So, in summary, they need to be introduced at the very beginning. Let them have those struggles in the first week, and then you could look forward to those progress or the outcome that you so desire from that program.
Well said. And looks like last question I have is from Marcus Thorne from LinkedIn. Let's see here. In districts with entrenched resistance to change, what's your first step to build trust and open the door to disruption?
Is that a question for me or something?
Yes, that question's for you.
Okay, can you repeat that again, please?
Sure. In districts with entrenched resistance to change, what's your first step to build trust and open the door to disruption?
Yeah, like I talked about, you have to get them involved. They have to be part of what you're doing, because the moment you get them involved, they have some level of sense of entitlement to what you're doing. It gives them the opportunity to know that I'm part of this progress. So you're going to get them involved, let them have a little share of what you're doing, incorporate them, let them share some of their own thoughts and all of that, because that will help them to be part of the program. That will help them to see a sense of belonging. Their feedback or their thought is not being thrown out or left to the background. It's being considered. It's being put in priority alongside with other persons, alongside with other stakeholders who you are putting together in that program. So, in summary, let them be part of it, because that gives them some level of entitlement to what you are doing at the end of the day.
Good answer. All right. And this question I have is for Lester Washington.
Okay.
All right.
Hello. This is from Maria Garcia from LinkedIn. For small community centers with limited resources, what are top 3 lost cost physical and procedural safety upgrades we must implement?
loss costs.
Low cost, excuse me.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. Low cost security upgrades that they would implement with limited budgeting. Well, it all depends on the parameters, what they're trying to do with the security for the location itself. Obviously, physical security is always a paramount need. So access control. So understanding how to utilize the access control parameters that you may have available to you. Have you utilized them to their fullest? Are they fully integrated into your location there? If not, you would probably want to bring in a consultant, maybe someone local in your community. There are also resources within the community itself that are free of charge. You can reach out to them and they could then come and do an assessment of the location to tell you more importantly what you might need. But a low cost initiative for security for most locations, which many people fail to recognize, is the physical attributes of that location. There's a concept called CPTED, Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design. So the way in which you plant trees, shrubs, set up your sidewalks, everything else of that nature there, all lends itself to the physical security of that location. One concept is making sure all trees that are there on the location, there are no low-hanging branches lower than 5 feet. That way they don't obscure the view of passing local patrol cars as they're looking at locations. Shrubs and bushes should grow no taller than 2.5 to 3 feet. That way it eliminates hiding locations for people intent on mischief and mayhem at that location. So really looking at the design of the location itself and incorporating landscaping into your security is a very low cost way in which to secure that location and make it one less advantageous to individuals intent on creating mischief and mayhem. Then there are really easy ways in which you can incorporate technology for little to no money. A lot of locations that I go to today have Ring cameras in place. You can go to Costco, you can buy them on Amazon. You can add Ring cameras anywhere. They both record visual and audio. Audio is important in many locations, especially with police involvement. So the implementation of low-cost technology such as Ring cameras can be utilized to enhance that security of that building, that location. You can both do it externally and internally, and you can incorporate it to a point. I myself have them in my home. I view what's happening at my home each and every day when I leave. I can see when my children come, where they're at home, and who's coming to my home. So the Ring cameras are something similar to that. It's a great low-cost initiative you can incorporate there. And then finally, and most importantly, education and awareness for your team and those individuals that visit your location, helping them to understand how they can support the security initiatives of the location, making sure that they have their ID badges present, that they utilize their access cards, that they sign in, they sign out, that they don't just let wanton individuals inside the facility that is secure, unless of course they have a legitimate business need to be there. And more importantly, the staff themselves, once again, need to build those relationships with those individuals who frequent that location. So there's familiarity. So those would be my recommendations.
Right.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you very much,
Absolutely.
Mr. Lester.
Absolutely. Wonderful answer. Very informative. Very informative.
All right. I
Thank
think we're
you so
having
very
some.
much. That was
Yeah, I
very
think
informative information for all of our speakers. Yeah. I think we're having audio issues, but that's all right. Go ahead. It was wonderful having everyone tune in for today's $8 class, Connecting E-Learning to Communities. Thank you so very much, Hayden, Burnett, and Lester Washington, as well as Dr. Sariton, for elaborating and educating us on e-learning, and so much more information that we all hope our audience could apply to their everyday life, as well as their education personally and professionally. And Dr. Sariton, here we are for closing remarks.
All right. Thank you very much, Amanda, for an incredible moderation that you've had today. So we're already closing for today. It's been a great time with we all. So we reached the closing, not just for this summit, but for 2025 Alternative Learning Series. And it has been a powerful, grounded, and actionable conversation. To our incredible speakers, at first, our keynote speaker, Mr. Lester Washington, thank you so much for joining up today's summit. And we also have Hayden for joining. And we also have other speakers who were supposed to be here. They couldn't. Dr. Anasha, Dr. Clara, and Monique Black, who couldn't make our time, but we were still able to get some of the slide over, which was being shared. And you have given us more than just insight. You've given us a framework where disruption meets trust, foresight meets actions, safety meets growth, advocacy meets enterprise, and culture meets character. You have shown us that a bridge between global vision and local impact is built with the bricks of community partnership, unwavering safety, tangible skills that we've learned today, and relenting to believe in our young people, young learners, early professionals, mid-level professionals, to everyone who joined us live, who have asked questions, who have shared from LinkedIn, from Facebook, from YouTube. You've expanded this conversation with the dialogue into a movement. As we look ahead, the summit is not an end, it's a launching pad. In 2026, ADollarClass is committed to turning the blueprint into a building. We are launching more community-oriented learning hub to co-design solutions on the ground, just like what we believe here at ADollarClass. We want to provide alternative form of learning in a very affordable and accessible form. And as a global mentor accelerator company, we want to empower local champions. We want to have strategic partnership that will fuel this sustainable and community-owned growth. The work continues. We're not any here where it matters. In your neighborhood, in your community, in your home, in your school, in your organization, in your company, in every facet of life that you are, let's keep on adding value to people. I urge you to take a piece of what you've heard today, one strategy at a time, one question at a time, one moment of clarity, and share it, discuss it, act on it. Let it be a connection between the vision in this room and the change in our street. From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for our great team, our production team, who have worked in this area, our moderators, our co-moderators who have moderated other events, our speakers who have been speaking on this platform for incredible time in past months, and each of you, as we build, this is how we grow, this is how we transform. Stay connected, the journey continues. Before I say goodbye, I want to give opportunity for our speakers who are present here to give their final word before we wrap up. So we just have a minute, and I'm going to bring on stage our keynote speaker and also Hayden, and we also have our moderator to give us their final word before we close in for today. So let me start with Mr. Lester Washington, our keynote speaker. Your final word for our audience today.
First of all, I'd like to thank you all for your attendance today and basically staying with us throughout the entire event. So I provided some concepts, some ideas, some thoughts to you. And if you're interested in hearing more from me, I'll make sure that the doctor provides my contact information and we can explore some other options that you might be enlightened about. Other than that, thank you for your time. It was a pleasure being with you today.
All right. Hayden, your final word for our audience for watching.
Yeah, man, it was a pleasure. I wanted to say thank you first to Lester. Man, you talk about someone with a lot of knowledge. I really appreciate everything that he brought. Man, again, a lot of knowledge, someone that I grew from right there. So I appreciate you, Lester. And
I gotta say, Hayden, I hate to interrupt, but I learned quite a bit from you too, my friend.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. Thank you.
I'm
good to know there's an
proud
educator
right
of your
there. I
kind.
think that's why we do it, you know, and that's why I was excited to be able to do that. And for people to step out, you know, and take a little bit of time to grow together, which really is what we did today. Doctor, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to do that. And Ms. Amanda, great job as a moderator. anyone who listened. It was a blessing, and I'm thankful for the opportunity.
All right. So, Amado, any final word for everyone before we close up?
Thank you so much. Wonderful day, wonderful words, wonderful wisdom shared.
All right. So, once again, thank you very much, our audience, our incredible audience who've watched us for the past hours, and our speakers. So, it's been a great time, and I hope you have a great evening, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
All righty. See you in 26.